Royal Enfield deserve a lot of credit these last few years for making cheap bikes cool. Now Triumph, in partnership with Bajaj, have set out to make cool bikes cheap. Enter the Triumph Scrambler 400X and the Royal Enfield Himalayan 450, two motorcycles that some of you might be cross-shopping. Both having debuted in 2023 with all-new powertrains, they are the latest and greatest Indian-built 400-class off-roady retro bikes for sale in the US, both costing less than $6,000. Today, we'll take each one for a spin and then talk about how they compare. I was able to test ride both of these motorcycles back-to-back thanks to the folks at Motorcycles of Dulles in Dulles, Virginia. They regularly host demo days where they wheel out 2 or 3 bikes from their inventory and invite anyone curious to come give them a try. I started out on the Triumph Scrambler 400X. I first needed a quick reminder that 400s don't have effortless torque right off idle. After that, I found the Scrambler to be very easy to ride. Triumph prioritized approachability with these new 400 models, and that is reflected in every aspect of this bike, from its power delivery to its price. The one exception might be the seat height, but that's more than offset by the light weight. 40 horsepower won't punish new riders for making mistakes, but it will still satisfy seasoned riders wanting to negotiate traffic. So it's a pleasure to ride, but being a joint venture with Bajaj, is it a proper Triumph? Well, it sure looks like one, and the fit and finish appeared on this short demo ride to be comparable to that of Triumph's tie-built bikes. It is a handsome motorcycle, especially in green. Character-wise, the motor has a little pop to it, but overall it's nothing to write home about. I think this is the most Triumph-like you could possibly expect a modern, small, single-cylinder motorcycle to be. It won't elicit as much emotion or pride of ownership as the 900 and 1200 twins, but it's a terrific gateway to the Triumph family. Next up was the Royal Enfield Himalayan 450. I was a big fan of the former 411, particularly for its unfiltered personality, but I knew not to expect that from this more modern 450 version. And indeed, I found Royal Enfield have refined a lot of the character out of the new Himalayan. While it used to stand out from the pack with its charm alone, the Hemi must now justify itself with its specs, equipment, and performance. And let me tell you, Enfield have pulled it off. The biggest improvement over the 411 is of course the power, which has been brought up to par with the rest of the 400 class and then some. It's got enough grunt at the low end that stalling is not a concern, and enough pull at the top end that you don't have to wait for a mile-long gap in traffic before it's safe to enter the highway. I found the handling is much more confidence-inspiring than you'd expect from a bike with a 21-inch front wheel. Technology-wise, the 450 has gained a lot more than just 39 cc's and liquid cooling. The new full TFT display is there to accommodate navigation, media, all that Bluetooth stuff. I don't like TFT dashes, but perhaps I would if they were all as tidy as this one. The flickering you see is not visible in real life and can be dialed out with the right camera settings. The Himalayan 450 is easy on the eyes and has a blend of modern and retro design cues that feels very intentional. There's no denying that the 411 was a cooler looking bike, but if this 450 had been the first Himalayan made, I would be saying Enfield styled it perfectly. My personal favorite color is the black and gold. Now it's time to compare these two motorcycles, and I feel like I have no choice but to lead with my conclusion. I had way more fun on the Himalayan 450 than I did on the Scrambler 400X. The Himalayan is just more motorcycle. You wouldn't think those extra 50 cc's would make that big a difference over the Triumph, especially with the Hemi carrying an extra 30 plus pounds of weight, but it does. Something about the way the Himalayan delivers its power just makes it feel punchier, both off the line and out on the open road. The Himalayan also feels sturdier and more substantial in a good way. I know I said the 450 had lost a lot of the 411's charm, but it still feels a bit more alive than the Triumph. Both motorcycles are furnished for off-pavement riding, but to varying degrees. They share an upright riding posture, a tall, wide handlebar, and serrated metal pegs with rubber inserts, which I love. The Scrambler 400X comes with useless plastic handguards, and the Himalayan 450 comes with a useless plastic skid plate. However, the Himalayan has spoked wheels with a 21-inch front, a dirt-focused choice, while the Scrambler has cast wheels with a 19-inch front, a more street-biased hybrid setup. The Himalayan also has 30% more suspension travel than the Scrambler and about 15% more ground clearance. So, while I couldn't test these bikes off-road myself, the equipment present is a strong indication that the Royal Enfield outdirts the Triumph. Remarkably, the Hemi does all this while having what I perceived to be an easier reach to the ground with its standard seat in the low position. For reference, I wear a 30-inch inseam. Wheels and springs are one thing, but some people will still argue, as they did with the 411, that the Himalayan 450 is too heavy for serious off-roading. I think these people are mistaking this motorcycle for a dual sport due to its low displacement. It was and is decidedly an adventure bike, and for that category, it's actually quite light. It's proven itself more than capable of conquering rough mountain passes, even when laden with luggage, provided you're not in a big hurry. The 450 isn't any heavier than the 411, so I have no doubt it's just as excellent in that department. Now, of course, the Scrambler 400X is perfectly capable of scrambling. We all saw that CTXP episode where they ride to Umling La. But ask Zach which of these two bikes he'd pick if he were to do that ride again. Do you really think he wouldn't go for the Royal Enfield?
A Himalayan Triumph of epic proportions.
Well, okay, you say. It's not surprising that an adventure bike would have a bit more off-road prowess than a Scrambler, but if someone wants the better street riding experience, shouldn't they pick the 400X? I'm still not sure they should. The Himalayan handled great on the road, equal to the Scrambler in my hands. The braking experience was also equal on the two bikes, perhaps unsurprising given they both wear a single 320mm disc up front with bi-brake calipers. Nothing impressive, but they get the job done. Maybe you could argue that I only rate the Hemi so highly on pavement because I rode it a little more enthusiastically than I did the Scrambler. But if anything, that just tells you that the Himalayan inspires more enthusiastic riding. That's a compliment if you ask me. If you have any interest in touring, that's another point with the Himalayan. Not only does it have a bigger fuel tank and optional hard cases, it also cruises much more easily on the freeway thanks to its taller gearing. With the Scrambler 400X, I was in 6th gear by 55 miles an hour and turned a screaming 6,000 RPM when cruising at 70. The Himalayan does the same cruising speed at 500 RPM less, almost as if it has a 7th gear. And unlike the Scrambler, the Himalayan has a little torque to spare if you wanted to go up a tooth in the front. To both bikes' credit, neither of them exhibit severe vibrations at highway speeds. Oh, and don't be fooled by the little fly screen on the Himalayan. It does virtually nothing to deflect wind. In stock form, this bike is effectively just as naked as the Scrambler. That's fine by me. I am unbothered by wind blast, and I live in a hot, humid climate where airflow is life. A few other minor differences you may be curious about. The Scrambler 400X gets traction control, while the Hemi doesn't. But neither of these bikes have enough power to necessitate it. The Scrambler also has an analog gauge, which I generally strongly prefer to a TFT dash, but it's just an analog speedometer with an LCD tach, a setup I can't say I like more than the Hemi's clean, round TFT instrument cluster with prominent tachometer. If you've heard everything I've said up till now and think that I don't like or don't recommend the Triumph, you are wrong. I don't have anything bad to say about it. If the Scrambler 400X is the bike you want, and for some reason you feel you need me to give you a green light, this is it. Go ahead and buy it. But if you're trying to decide between the Scrambler 400X and the Himalayan 450, know that for essentially the same money, the Himalayan is simply more motorcycle in almost every way. The Triumph has arguably better looks and a badge I'm a tad more fond of, but those just aren't enough to counter the Himalayan's superior grunt, versatility, and fun factor. Thank you all very much for watching, and thanks to Motorcycles of Dulles for hosting this demo day. Ride safe, and I'll see you next time.